Coming up on Nebraska Stories, the creative cosplay of Comic-Con. Husker athletics seen through an artist's eye. Gardening with a deeper meaning. A healing machine becomes a valuable work of art. And the colorful craft of spinning wool.
I'm cosplaying Captain Avantika from the show Critical Role.
I'm playing Marty McFly.
And today I'm playing the Macho Man Randy Savage. It's just a real fun thing to really perform these characters that you grew up loving so much. Ooh, yeah! The Macho Man Randy Savage. Too cold to hold, too hot to handle, funky like a monkey.
I'm a Quidditch player because I love the series of Harry Potter, and I really love this rope.
Cosplay is a great artistic form for anybody, as long as you have the will to get your craft on, basically. Really express yourself.
Costume play is what it's short for. Hi, I'm Rainy, and I am cosplaying Okuyasu Nijimura from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I am a Girl Scout camp counselor. Like, I run their arts and nature program. So I work with girls. I do crafts all day, and then I do crafts when I get home. It's just committing to the aesthetic, and it's like a money and a time commitment as well. I don't know. It's good. It's a good way to burn all that creative energy that you have.
Well, as you guys joining us, this is Concept to Con Floor Beginners Cosplay, just kind of some tips and tricks for wig styling, makeup, other things like that.
Out of everyone here, who wears makeup when they cosplay? Raise your hand? Yeah? I'm telling you, putting on mascara is like life-changing. When you cut your fur, don't be like me and cut it with scissors. I couldn't find an X-Acto blade.
I'm loving all the body paint in the audience as well.
Yeah, I know.
I really appreciate everyone's body paint.
What's everyone's favorite part of like cosplay?
Wearing the cosplay for the first time and going to the convention wearing that cosplay for the first time. Favorite part
It's so good. What is cosplay? I think cosplay is a really good way to express yourself and to kind of become the characters that you see on screen that you like. It's getting more mainstream, which I'm really happy for. It makes it more accessible.
I'm cosplaying as Haorong from the Tekken franchise. In real life, I am a martial artist.
I'm dressed as John Dorian from Scrubs.
Hawkeye, 4077.
I am Zarina the Pirate Fairy from Tinkerbell.
And I am Sasha from Attack on Titan.
I think like 5 days overall. I made the skirt, my wings, and then my headband.
The straps on these are not fun to put on, I can tell you that much.
Well, these boots themselves took me about 30 minutes in the car to put on, so that kind of explains itself.
10 years I first got the vest, and then from then on I've just been growing every little bit.
Don't cross the streams. And we're both playing Ghostbusters. I think we started building our costumes around September of last year, just kind of acquiring things here and there, picking things up from like Army surplus stores, buying things up on Amazon, putting together the electronics for these kids. For me, it's all about, like, when I was growing up, it was a show and a movie I was really into. It's been amazing doing things with my son. You know, it's kind of a bit of a passing of the torch.
It's a great thing to do. It's a great way to have fun, and you put a smile on other people's faces.
I think it's a fun environment because a lot of us are all like nerdy, and so we all just get to be nerds together.
this really positive nerd culture where you can just like the things you like and no one's gonna judge you for it. It's really nice.
It's a big old geek family. Why not?
I've always been a big Husker fan. I still enjoy doing abstract and landscapes and animals and stuff like that. But the Husker art it's like a whole new kind of ball game.
Ashley Spitznagel's Husker artwork has taken fandom by storm. A lifelong Nebraska fan, Ashley's path to painting in red began by accident.
I did a live painting at a Teammates Mentoring benefit or gala. So that's kind of where it started. So live painting is almost kind of like a performance. I think that it helps people appreciate the painting process, and I think that they understand art more by watching it like that, and maybe are more willing to spend more money on art because they know kind of what goes into it. It was of Tom Osborne and Brooke Behringer, and Tom was there, and so I painted it in front of him. And after I got done with the picture, I put it on Facebook, and there was a lot of people that reached out afterwards, and I decided to get licensed with the university to Husker artwork. And then from there, I was asked to paint one of Sam Foltz and Brooke Behringer. And that's kind of really when it took off from there. That one is the most special, and I almost get teary-eyed talking about it because, like, the families, whether it be Sam, who passed away 2 years ago, their family missing their boy, or the Behringers, who lost Brooke 22, 23 years ago, they miss him just the same. And they share their memories, and they want to talk about their kids. And so to be able to paint something like that that is representing them in a good light, that's just the most special to me. So in high school, I started doing small commissions for people. I've always loved to draw and paint. And then in college at Doane, I majored in art there. Then I went to Italy and studied art for a month in Florence and came back in 2008, and that's kind of when I really knew that this is what I wanted to do, like, as a job. I illustrated a children's book, Josh the Baby Otter, and that I started in about 2008, 2009. It's a water safety book for kids. That's like a whole nother kind of world there, but it's kind of helped me continue to do art. Yeah, I didn't really do a whole lot of Husker artwork growing up, I would say. Just not even really in college much, but it's been fun doing it now. I like doing abstract. The process is fun. I really enjoy that. I do oil and acrylic primarily. And then when I'm doing drawing, I like to do charcoal. It gets really good lights and darks. When I'm working on like a Husker painting, first I'll come up with a composition or what I want to paint. So a lot of times I use Photoshop to do that, and I'll have different options, and then I'll finally find one that I think would look good painted. And then when I paint, I'll reference that, and I'll use charcoal to lay out the composition. And then from there, then I'll start layering in the kind of first layer of paint, and I just kind of keep layering on paint until it's finished. I feel like Bob Ross. Here's a little fan. This fan looks happy.
Based in Elkhorn, Nebraska, Ashley's works come together many times through collaboration with the other artists residing there.
There's so many times that we feed off each other's ideas and creativity, and something's not quite right, so we'll ask someone else. With this John Cook, I was trying to figure out the composition in Photoshop didn't quite look right. The court I had too small, and I was just like, what's wrong with this? Like, something just didn't look right, and Jane said, how about you make the court bigger? So there's just so many times that we kind of feed off each other. Like, I really wanted my first painting of him to be something where it represents not just the coach, but the team and volleyball. John Cook and the volleyball team deserve a painting. I just think that it's overdue. I grew up more of football in a football family, so I was painting what I've known. And a lot of the players that I've painted are players that I have also known growing up, and teams that I would watch. And volleyball, John Cook is a living legend. Maybe I might still do another one of John Cook, like somebody suggested, even with like the clipboard or something like that. But I just wanted the court in the first one with the girls. I thought that would be neat as a first volleyball one.
For Ashley, these paintings hopefully help connect fans more intimately to the teams they love.
So it just is natural to now be licensed and paint these things that are really exciting to people, and I like feel their excitement, and that's what makes it fun, and I think people can feel that too in my artwork. Is like the one of Scott running out with the team. It's like a whole new ball game. If I'm gonna spend time and go through that whole process, I want it to be something that's people are gonna like, and it's gonna be a neat memory. Painting memories and creating memories on canvas where they can be put up in Husker rooms and in homes, and it's just fun. Like, I love going to games, I love tailgating, I love everything about Husker sports, and so, I don't know, it's just made it a little bit more exciting, I guess.
My name's Jan Wilhelm, and the reason this garden was started because of my husband. He went through a lot with his son, his family, but many years ago he told me to change my stones into diamonds, and so I decided I was going to do something. I watched him hurt badly from losing his son, and so I decided it's time, because I know how it leaves a big hole in everybody's heart, and it did with mine, watching him hurt so bad. So in January, a Saturday morning, I woke up and I had a person tell me, and I know it was God. He says, get up, get started with the garden today, or it's never going to happen. Spring will be here in 3 months, and to get started. So I called a friend of mine. We started the Humboldt Garden Club. I put a plan together and designed it. I took it to the city council, they approved it, and our garden club got together, and we just started working, moving rocks, bringing in rocks, cleaning down trees and brush, and we created this garden in tribute to all cancer survivors, the ones that are fighting for their lives, and to all the loved ones that we've lost from cancer. We also have a greenhouse that we started a lot of our plants this winter. The lavender ribbon has the hope. We've made the hope in bricks, and it's for all cancers. It's we're hoping for a cure on the lavenders for all cancers, and even though we have single beds here, each bed is for a certain cancer color, that's our ribbon of hope. So hopefully someday we'll have a cure.
Well, my mom actually found the garden. She and a friend went down and visited, and instantly just fell in love, and she really wanted to do something for Danielle, something to honor her, and so she talked about having a fairy made. So she had a fairy statue made in honor of Danielle.
I didn't know about it. I knew that we were going to have the ceremony and everything for me, but I didn't know about the statue or the plaque or anything that was going to be dedicated to me, so it was really cool. We walked around before we actually had the ceremony, and I saw it, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was one of the other bronze statues that was out there. My grandma said she found it, and she said it was a perfect representation of me, of always being positive, and the fairy is super, like, I don't know, she looks happy, you know, the statue does, and she looks like she's having a great time, and my grandma just said it reminded her of me.
Survivors! We had a great time, and it's beautiful, and Jan and her husband just make you feel comfortable, and they've done such a wonderful job. And I was looking around trying to figure each flower. I consider myself an amateur gardener, but was picking out things, and I saw, look at that hen and chicks, what's that doing? And they were different, so you get to see, and those are all volunteer gardeners down there that help with all that, and it's just neat. So I will be back.
I want them to feel the peace and the love that God's given us, and remember the good times they had with their families, and just heal from that broken heart like we had today. I think they felt a lot from this garden. People who come in here get a sense of peace, like God's right here with us, and they can feel like their family members with them. It's just very peaceful and serene.
On the Garfield table near Stapleton, Nebraska, behind an unpainted farmhouse, stood a shed made of recycled wood. Within this simple shed was another world, a world made from an array of everyday cast-off materials. In the 1950s, Emery Blagden began creating a unique environment within this shed to help people attain better health.
His mother died at a very young age from stomach cancer, and then his dad died as a result of surgery for lung cancer. Those things really did affect him deeply, and he wanted people to feel better. And in his own way, he really felt that the energy from the healing machine could help take away those aches and pains, just to help you feel better. He worked on the machine right up until the last 3 or 4 months of his life, and then the shop was locked and he didn't go back out again.
In 1986, 2 North Platte natives, Dan Dryden and Don Christensen, purchased the contents of the shed at Emery's estate auction. For 18 years, Dryden and Christensen promoted and cared for Emery's work. Then in 2004, they sold the bulk of the collection to the Kohler Foundation in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
The foundation was established in 1940, and the emphasis has always been the arts and education. Our expertise is in the area of preservation and conservation treatment. There are general truths that I think are prevalent with all self-taught artists, and that is they weren't trained in what materials to use. So they often present us with very difficult materials. Masking tape is a supreme challenge. The artist, of course, is learning as he's creating, and that grows and develops into something bigger and greater and better. Conservation is often a series of compromises and decisions that need to be made. Do you treat completely? Do you surface clean? And what our decision was to surface clean, to repair only as needed. That was an easy decision, because to leave the shed patina on would be to expose particularly the metal pieces to potential corrosion, and it in no way enhanced the art. That was plain old Nebraska dirt. To describe Emery Blagden's art, I think, is to talk about how many pieces there are and how difficult it is to take an environment, to dismember it, understand it, count it, photograph it, document it, and it's 2 completely different experiences. There's an intricacy, a delicacy, and then there's the largeness of it. When Emery Blagden's work was being conserved and it was uncrated and spread about, we had to call in a number of experts. If you noticed in some of the chandeliers, for instance, there were little glass vials, and Emery would go to Dan Dryden at the pharmacy and purchase elements. He would take elements from his pantry. Because this was going to be displayed in a public forum, all those materials needed to have chemical analysis, because we had to make sure there was nothing toxic.
It took up to 2 years of using modern museum conservation techniques to clean, analyze, and document every piece of Emery's masterpiece.
Not all self-taught art is created equal. Some is craft, some is hobby, and some, the end result, is truly art, and it's creativity at a higher level. But that said, it's all important. Some people might look at Emery Blagden's healing machine and say, it's junk. because he repurposed found items and created them with his own inner spirit into something artistic and special. Might be junk to you, but it's somebody else's treasure. And when it comes to the art world, I think people view it as good quality, inspirational art.
Emery Blagden is known by art collectors and museum visitors as a man with boundless visionary creativity, an artist of great significance. Blagden's Healing Machine is considered great American art.
Never underestimate what can come from a tiny, tiny little town in Nebraska in the middle of a wheat or cornfield, because there's inspiration and creativity at all corners. And someone who does work like Emery Blagden creates a Nebraska treasure that's respected nationally and internationally, and it's really pretty special.
I had wanted to be part of the mill from the beginning because I've always had a passion for fiber.
There aren't many wool mills in the United States, but one can be found here, near the town of Mitchell.
There's more and more people that definitely want on their product made in USA, so it's starting to matter.
Nebraska's only wool mill sits on the land Peggy Jo's great-grandfather bought. Edwin Brown was a farmer and a sheep producer.
He did that until his death, and my grandfather took over 3/4 of the farm and continued. And then this was what my dad did.
Harlan Brown raised sheep until the late 70s. When the local processing plant closed, Peggy's dad decided to try something new.
He took a gamble in 1980 and started this mill.
The first sale Harlan Brown made was from the trunk of his car. His best customers were the Navajo. They still are today. Then one day in 1999, Peggy's dad told her he could use her help.
The interest was always there, but I always knew that the timing had to be right.
It was a good move for us. It was a big move because I was going from a science background to a business background, and it took some time to adjust.
I'm not sure I'd want to do that first 5 years over again, but it's okay.
Building on her father's success, Peggy and Robert expanded the size of the mill and updated the equipment, including an on-site waste treatment process.
Living in a rural community presents some problems as far as wastewater disposal. There's nothing out there that you can just, plug in and it would work. So we had to start from scratch.
Robert designed a high-tech filtration system that recycles up to 90% of the water used in the wool dyeing process.
The wastewater really is, first of all, it's colored and it's high strength in salts, and it's usually pretty hot.
With his PhD, with his experience in science, with his knowledge of research, was able to come in here and take our little company to a whole different level.
All this helped get the attention of a New York designer.
We were lucky enough to produce some yarn that was used for the last Winter Olympics. Ralph Lauren used that to knit gloves and scarves.
Though they wanted to expand to the garment industry, their major market is the craft industry. They have customers across the U.S. and all over the world.
I'm going to say I haven't seen you in here before.
Oh, well, I've been a few times.
It's always kind of fun to see a store customer come in and walk out and say, oh, I just love being here.
They have the best wool here. Well, I've been buying Lamb's Pride yarn in Wisconsin, but there's a lot more of it here.
I still find an incredible satisfaction just working with our product. The colors, the texture.
I'm used to giving tours.
And now, another generation is entering the family business.
Now it's going to be put into our large inventory that then we can pull from and ship from. So
he has a wide range of experience, and then he has absolutely delightful young woman that he married.
I wooed her with an Afghan.
He had just finished kindergarten, and he came to me one afternoon and he said, "Mom, I've got it all figured out. I'm just going to skip school and go right into business."
Andrew Wells went on to graduate college, and now he and his wife Brittany work together, just as Andrew's parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents have all done.
From 25 to 65 is a long haul. You got to have a lot of passion, and you've got to have a lot of commitment.
When it comes to running a wool mill, passion and commitment may be in the Wells family genes.
Watch more Nebraska Stories on our website, Facebook, and YouTube. Nebraska Stories is funded in part by the Margaret and Martha Thomas Foundation.